Good afternoon. It's a real privilege to be here with the members and supporters of the Boy Scouts of America, an organization that actually embodies leadership, citizenship, and values. I also want to start by thanking the Inspire team members that came here today, many of whom were Scouts. It's nice to see that people that came from so many different backgrounds and represent so many different functions all have common stories about the role that the Scouts played in their career and their lives. Thank you. Welcome. Inspire's primary commitment to the communities we serve is to help young men and women realize their full potential and realize a successful career by providing guidance, assistance, and even working to remove barriers wherever possible. And it's a passion that I personally share. Now, unfortunately, not everyone has the opportunity to have the experiences that you've all received as members of the Boy Scouts. And as we at Inspire have worked along with our team members, our franchisees, our foundation, and many other organizations to help people on their path to workforce readiness, I've had the opportunity to step back and reflect around what are the critical steps along the way to a successful career, which I would like to talk with you about today. And while my remarks are targeted primarily to the Elijahs and the other youth in this room, I hope they'll be helpful to you that spend so much time working with our youth. And I believe that there are really three primary steps on the journey to a rewarding career. And the first, for those that are Boy Scouts, is completed when they actually come out of the organization. Now, just like a sturdy building, the first is building a strong foundation. Because just like a sturdy building, a well-lived life needs a solid base, ideally not built off just a set of skills and knowledge, but a sense of self, family, and community. And clearly the knowledge and skills you've built and learned to date and will continue to learn are really important. But it's more than just the skills or knowledge that is needed along the journey. It's the values, principles, and beliefs that form your foundation today that will ultimately play such a significant role in your success later in life. And as Boy Scouts, you've learned to already build a path to a strong foundation. The values you've learned here and have learned here, like honesty, responsibility, respect, will support you throughout your life. The Boy Scouts played an important role in helping me build my foundation many, many years ago, as it has with so many others. And among the Inspire leaders here today with us who has scouting ties is Rich Taylor. He has such a great story about how the Boy Scouts helped him build his strong foundation. Rich became a Cub Scout in Brooklyn, New York in the 1970s. He climbed through the ranks of scouting, ultimately following just short of Eagle as a Life Scout. And although he didn't make Eagle, he continuously talks about how scouting had such an immeasurable impact on him and still does to this day. And as an adult, he has chartered both a Cub Scout pack and a Boy Scout troop at his son's school to ensure that they and others have the same opportunities he did. And Rich says this about his experience with scouting: "I can certainly testify that scouting opens doors, especially for some who might not see many of the life-changing adventures and opportunities like me in East Flatbush, Brooklyn neighborhood so many years ago." So I'd like to pause and thank Rich and everyone else in this room who actually is helping the next generation of Scouts build their strong foundation. Now, the next step is to build off of that foundation with new and different experiences. And I personally found this to be the most challenging, exciting, fun, rewarding, and sometimes actually scary part of the journey, especially during the earliest stages of my career. I often get asked whether I had a roadmap on the path to CEO. And the answer is absolutely not, far from it. And while my career path was not a totally random walk, it did take a lot of unpredicted and sometimes unnecessary twists and turns along the way. But ultimately, I was able to build on my foundation and layering on increasingly expanded roles, built off what I had learned in previous positions. And as I look back at my current role and what we're building at Inspire, I can look back and see the various parts of what I learned all along the way that are allowing us to do what we are doing in Inspire today. So I would suggest to those youth in the room, as you embark on your journey, to keep these two things in mind. First, be open to taking chances. Now, initially, I was scared to take risks. I was totally afraid of new situations, and to be honest, I was a bit myopic about the world around me. And I was far from modeling the maverick behaviors that we talk about at Inspire today. And only after I took those first few tentative steps to newer and bigger experiences did I really get the confidence to take those bigger swings that ultimately paid off. And looking back, I learned more from my failures than I did my successes. I like quoting Winston Churchill not just because he was a great inspirational leader, but also because he was so apt at taking changes, even if that meant failing. And he failed fairly often and actually sometimes pretty spectacularly. In fact, at points in his career, he was demoted, forced to resign, and was voted out of office multiple times, including the year after he led the UK to victory in World War II. A great quote from Churchill is, "Success is the ability to go from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm." Churchill harnessed his missteps to help him learn and improve. So don't be afraid to try something and fail. But fail fast, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, learn from it, and move forward. The second is to be patient. And I know I'm going to sound like a lot of business leaders these days that are going to lament around the impatience of the younger generation. And in fact, it is true, it is not uncommon to hear that a 20-something is, after being in a job for 6 months, is complaining about not yet having been promoted. But I'll admit, and I know most of you will probably admit in the room, that we are a lot the same way. But what I will say is my advice is taken then from personal experience, not just from professional frustration. So first, be patient. Slow down to speed up. At Inspire, we like to say sales overnight, brand over time. And the best way to get the next best job is to over-deliver on your current job. Because some of the biggest mistakes I made in my career were when I got impatient and took a job that I was not quite ready for or a job that was not right for me. The third step in the journey is to define your why. This is a vital step, and it's about going from being about what you do to why you do it. Because it's easy to fall in a trap where when you're building a career, it's basically off a series of whats. What did I learn in school? What jobs did I have? What cities did I live in? What did I earn along the way? And the real opportunity is to use your collective experiences to ultimately develop a sense of why you're doing it in the first place. One of my favorite authors is Simon Sinek, who wrote a book, Start With Why. And his key insight is that people buy what you do. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And he also goes on to say that happiness comes from what you do, but fulfillment comes from why you do it. And like many during my career, I was overly focused on the what. What is my next job? What is my title? Can I get a bigger paycheck? I was not focused as much on the why. And it's only recently that I've had the opportunity to create and shape Inspire, that I've had the opportunity to step back and think about what is my why? What is my purpose? And how does that relate to the purpose of the organization that I lead? So your sense of why ultimately is highly personal, but it will show up to others in what you do, how you act, especially as a leader. So I'll leave you with just a closing thought, which is never forget your foundation and what got you here. I mean, one of the results of being successful is people start telling you how great you are. And the issue is if you actually start believing them. This is the value of a strong foundation and the importance of keeping people close to you who share your core values and will tell you the truth, especially if it's brutally honest. Importantly, never lose sight of the people who helped you get there along the journey. Teachers, friends, colleagues, employees, scoutmasters, and of course, your family. When I was 9 years old, my mother gave me this piece of paper. And on this piece of paper is a poem that my grandfather sketched out while waiting in the delivery room for me nearly 57 years ago. And I use this to remind me of where I came from and the root cause of everything I have been able to accomplish and will be able to accomplish. Among his words to her were, nurse him, protect him, Teach him what you know. Advise him, guide him toward life's goal. For much of what he is, and in the future hopes to be, depends so much on your love and responsibility. My late grandfather became my idol, and my mother and father lived up to every word on this page. And so I, again, use this as a reminder that anything I have accomplished is because of my family, my friends, and everyone along the journey. So thank you for inviting me to be part of such an extraordinary event, and I wish everyone the best as they embark on their journeys moving forward. Thank you.